All right. I'm so excited. This is really a monumental day. So I want to go ahead and congratulate everyone who's listening already because you're a part of our very first Facebook and LinkedIn Live. Big shout out to Grace on my team for getting this all organized. We're using a new platform that's going to allow us to get out our podcast immediately. So, and our webinars and things immediately. So, really pumped about that. And I'm even more pumped to have my friend Lynn Askin today. He is our guest. We're going to have a lot to cover off on because he is one of the most, if not the most, knowledgeable person on that I know on the EOS Entrepreneurial Operating System, and he's going to talk all about it today. Now, we've done a little teaser podcast, so if you haven't listened to that, you may want to go back to that and just get an understanding of the why behind EOS. Today, Lynn's going to talk all about the what and how, if I'm not mistaken, I think. But Lynn, I want you to introduce yourself here in just a second. But first, I want to just draw a little parallel about to help folks listening understand why we even chose this topic. So, having been a marketing agency owner for quite some time, and you also have been in this world of marketing agency owners and now help coach and consult not only marketing agency owners, but many other business owners today. One thing that I think is pretty similar that I found in both the internal workings of a marketing agency and also the internal workings of a managed services provider, IT, telecommunications business, is that we have our tendencies for things to get really chaotic. And so what I want to dig into today is how we can take the chaos and turn it into a structured, sustainable growth model and something that allows us as founders to go to sleep at night smoothly and not stressed. So Lynn, thank you for being here today. If you don't mind, just introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, and I can go ahead and just put your intro slide up. And then everyone, feel free to ask questions. We have a full hour. Lynn, let us know a little bit about yourself. And then, of course, as we go, this will be very interactive. We want to hear from everyone. So take it away, Lynn, and thank you for being here.
Oh, it's so great to be here with you, Laura. It's this is going to be fun. With an hour, we'll have to cram a lot of information in as much as we can. It's a lot of content around EOS. I'm Lynn Askin. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. Had a paper route when I was 9. Had a mobile disc jockey company in my teens. Started building computers in my 20s. I built one of the first online auctions in 1995 or 96. Launched my first e-commerce store in 97. And then I started helping companies with the whole world of online marketing, so websites and online marketing and such. Built a pretty successful marketing agency, and built, scaled, and sold that. And in the last couple of years, became an EOS implementer, helping people do the same thing in their businesses. So thanks for the introduction. I really appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to talking to your audience today.
Love it. Well, let's dig right in. Like I said, we did a quick little podcast on, what even is EOS, and a lot of people here today may still be wondering what is EOS, and maybe want to start there. But I know that I've implemented in my business, and it has been a game changer for us. We have, now a roadmap for continuing to improve and get the right people in the right seat. So tell us about how to change our businesses for the better.
Yeah, so I have a pretty good presentation today on EOS. I want to jump into that, but first I want to thank this the busy entrepreneurs that have stopped, have taken time out of their day to actually spend with us. Not everybody will do that. Not everybody will take the time, and actually work on their business. And we all get stuck working in our business, and it's really important that we do take the time out to learn, to grow, to share. And, it's really vital to your success, and being around other people like that just really, really energizes me. And so it's an honor for me to be here. Super excited to speak to your audience. And I'm sure they've seen guys like me speak a lot, right? So I've got about 30 seconds here to probably convince you that the next hour or so isn't going to be a complete waste of your time. And so what I want to do is I want to start with a promise today. I want to promise you that you're going to walk out of here with at least one piece of information, a tool, a concept, or something that you can take back into your business, that you can implement into your business or your life starting tomorrow, and things are going to get better. And so that's just a little simple promise that I want to start with. I'm going to give you something real and actionable that you can walk out of here with today. And so I can't really do that totally without you sort of partnering up with me today a little bit. So I'd love for you to comment, to ask questions, to raise your hand, to interact. I'm going to ask you to interact a little bit here or there, and I'd love for you to sort of participate in that with me today. So, specifically, I need you to be prepared to do a couple of things with me. Number one, I want you to be able to sort of get real about yourself and about your business. I want you to be able to look at your business in a whole new way. Second thing we're going to do together is we're going to do everything that we can to keep things really, really simple. And so if you're looking for like the latest and greatest AI management fad theory concept, anything like that, something you've never heard before, you might be wildly disappointed, because even if I had that, I'm not sure I'm smart enough to show it anyway. And so what I want to tell you here is that the things that I'm going to share with you today are simple, practical, real world tools that work in entrepreneurial companies just like yours. Mm-hmm. And then the third thing we're going to do today is we're going to just focus on the stuff that actually gets results, right? And so when you walk out of here, I want you to leave here with a list of action steps, something that you feel like you can take and that are going to make a difference in your life and help you get a grip on your business. Laura, is that fair expectations for?
I think that sounds great. And honestly, if we can't all get on board with that, then, what can we get on board with? So I think that's a great start.
Beautiful. So I want to start by asking, I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and if you can sort of raise your hands or at least participate in the chat somehow. How many?
There is a chat. Let me say this real quick. There is a chat function, but there's also the commenting on all of these platforms that we're now streaming on. So this is brand new. So when he does ask for you to participate, just throw it in whatever chat's most convenient for you, and we'll catch it. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. So by a show of hands, or maybe put a 1 in the chat if you're the business owner, if you're here as the owner of the business that you're representing. Got a few people as the owner here. Mm-hmm. Okay. How many of you sort of maybe run the day-to-day in that business? Got a couple of people commenting there. And then how many people have you here today because you actually do the work for the 2 people that just raised their hands?
I know we have a lot of that. I know personally we have a few of those on the call. So.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to get a little sense of the room in here. And so I'd love to know if it's possible to find out, are you representing a team, or do you have a business if you have a team of people between maybe 0 and 10, is there people in there that have 0 to 10, maybe 10 to 100? Is there anybody here with a business that's over 100 people in it? For you guys, the bar opens at 5.
Yeah, exactly.
My gosh.
They're all in here desperate that you're going to solve all their business problems today, Lynn. No pressure, but.
Right. So, and the other question I usually ask is, how many of you here are actually implementing EOS in your business, and you consider yourself somewhat knowledgeable about EOS? Is there a few people here that are comfortable with EOS already? How many of you are maybe just sort of EOS curious? Yeah. And then
I do see 100. So we do have some with up to 100 employees. Yeah.
And then is there anybody here who heard me just say EOS and realized you're in the wrong webinar? Anybody? Anybody want to sneak out the back room?
Don't leave. We got you.
All right. So that gives me a little context. And what I want you to do is I want you to sort of prepare yourself to take a good hard look at your business and look at your life. And I want you to be able to look at your business a whole new way. And this is going to sound a little silly, but if you'll humor me for just a second, sort of sit back in your chair, make yourself comfortable, put both feet on the ground, close your eyes. And again, this might feel a little silly, but there's a mathematician, philosopher named Kurt Gödel. He was one of Einstein's contemporaries, and he proved scientifically that you cannot be a part of a system and at the same time understand that system. Now, my good friend Jody Underhill is a little more country, and he says you can't see the picture when you're standing in the frame, right? And that's what I'm trying to get you to do today. I'm trying to get you out of the tall grass, out of the weeds, and I want you to see your business in a whole new way. So please, with your eyes still closed, breathing kind of deeply, if you would, just levitate for me. Now, I don't mean levitate. I don't mean actually levitate out of your chairs. Please don't do that. But what I want you to do is I want your mind to float above your business, and I want you to be able to look down upon it. And I want you to be able to see all of its moving parts, including yourself. And I want you to be ready to look at your business with an open mind and critical thinking so you can find some opportunities here for improvement. And if you're there, you can open your eyes. And so is everybody ready to look at their business in a whole new way? All right.
I'm ready.
Beautiful.
I got a lot of thumbs up and smiley faces. So coming from Facebook and LinkedIn as well. So
very cool.
I think you have our attention, Lynn.
If I put anybody to sleep, would you nudge them real quick? Sometimes that happens. That happens at least once a session. So I'm gonna be real with you guys, and I'm gonna start with a brief history of EOS, so you know I'm not practicing on you. EOS is a complete system full of simple and timeless concepts and practical tools that have been around 100 years, going to be around 1,000 more. And many of you are not going to hear anything brand new today. But it was put together by Gino Wickman. And Gino began sort of cobbling together this system in his own family business about 20 years ago. And what Gino did is he saw a void in the marketplace. He saw a void for these tools that would help entrepreneurial business owners or leaders bring a little structure, a little bit of discipline, a little bit of accountability to their business without creating that corporation sort of style bureaucracy and red tape and complexity, because there really wasn't anything for anybody like that. And so he saw a need for that kind of stuff for a smaller business, because you and I both know that it's completely different, and it's a different experience to be running a company with 10,000 employees than it is to be running a company with 20 or 30.
Right.
And so the stuff that you're going to learn to become a better leader and manager at a big corporation is way different than the stuff that we're going to talk about today. And so I just wanted to give you a little bit of sense of why EOS was created. And what Gino did, he applied this to his own business, but he did it based on a series of real world discoveries that he made while working with other entrepreneurial leaders. And he ultimately created this complete holistic system that treats the common problems and challenges and frustrations that face entrepreneurs and their leadership teams. And so when I talk about this series of discoveries that Gino makes, probably a little behind on my slides here. Let me get back there.
All right.
And so when I talk about the kind of discoveries that Gino makes here, there are really two different types of entrepreneurial companies in the world. The average entrepreneurial company is full of people who are working their tails off. They don't have a grip on their business. Their business is running them rather than the other way around. And then Laura, there's 1 out of 20. There's 1 out of 20 that doesn't run that way. Mm-hmm. 1 out of 20 businesses are growing. They're profitable. Their owners and leaders are still working their tails off. That's kind of what we do, but they're committed to the business and they've got some sense of balance in the world. Mm-hmm. And what drove Gino to create this system is the difference between those two companies. He obsessed about figuring out what the difference was, and he wanted to give the typical entrepreneur the stuff, the secret sauce that would make their business one of those truly great businesses. Now, the second discovery was that all entrepreneurs tend to be, we're all kind of hardwired the same way. We tend to be wrestling with about 136 simultaneous issues. And I know some of you are sitting here a little frustrated thinking, well, I have to be that way, or no, that's not me, or I don't like being like this. But the truth is, if we're honest with ourselves, sometimes the best weeks in my business were the weeks where I felt like I was fighting fire. I was fighting with two swords, like the business ninja. All this craziness stuff was going on, and I felt alive when we're doing that stuff. Worst week sometime is when everything was perfect. We were growing, we were making money, customers loved us, employee hugged me in the hall, all that stuff. And so those are some of the tough weeks. But yeah, I think we all love to struggle with the 136 simultaneous issues in some sort of sick, twisted way.
Yeah.
So when Gino discovered the difference between these two types of businesses, The difference really is that the great businesses solve the 136 issues permanently for the long-term greater good of the business. And then they feel like every week, every month, every quarter, they're moving forward to solve a different set of issues. So they're making progress. They're achieving their vision and they're getting what they want from their business. Now, the typical entrepreneurial organization where people are stuck and frustrated, you feel like you're solving the same set of 136 issues over and over and over again in the worst case of business deja vu ever.
I was going to add, I feel like I see like the treading water.
Yeah.
Like that's what I feel like when I have a lot of conversations with entrepreneurs. It's what it sometimes feels like when you're physically treading water, right?
And the root of that is really not solving your problems at the root and making them go away forever. And you're putting a Band-Aid on them, you're solving a symptom. And then that
right
actual root cause is never really solved. And so it keeps coming back.
Right.
And so about somewhere roughly around 20 years ago, Gino and his business partner created EOS worldwide, and they set out to share this system with the rest of the world. And they started recruiting people like them who were passionate about helping entrepreneurs join a community of entrepreneurs to become great EOS implementers. And I was roughly, I think it was somewhere around EOS implementer number 640. Went off to Denver, met Gino, went through EOS boot camp. And since then, we've grown our community to about 821 professional EOS implementers around the globe. We've done over 189,521 full day sessions with leadership teams of entrepreneurial companies. Now, I'm not telling you that to brag or anything. I'm trying to drive home a point. There's nothing theoretical about what I'm going to share with you.
Right. It's working. Yeah.
This stuff is road tested. It's working in companies just like yours. And I want you to just have confidence that this stuff really works before I dive into the details.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody clear there?
I think so. We have any comments from the crowd before we move forward? I don't see anything coming in right now. So we've either put them to sleep already or they're so intrigued that they can't get enough. They're ready for the next slide.
All right. So let's talk about one of the discoveries that Gino made is that the frustrations between the 5% of the truly great companies and the 95% of truly great companies are very common things. So I'm going to share these frustrations with you, and I don't want to depress any of you, but some of the things that we see in frustrated business owners is a feeling that they're not in control of their business. One of my clients described it as, his business is like a van that's hurtling down the highway at about 80 miles an hour. Only he's not driving it; he's running behind it. Doors, stuff's flying out around him, and he's trying to pull himself in so he feels like he has some control. And the business is in charge if that's the case. Second frustration is profit or lack of profit, I guess, to be more specific. You're just not making enough money. You've invested so much time and you have this giant emotional investment in your business, and you're just not making enough money to sort of justify that investment you've made. Third common frustration is people. How many of you have people in your business?
Most of us, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, thank God, because the minute we don't, then we're out of business. But people are frustrating. The typical entrepreneur, I mean, the owners and leaders are frustrated with their employees. They're frustrated with their customers. They're frustrated with their business partners, their spouse, their kids, the person behind them on the freeway. People are frustrating, and nobody seems to care about it or want it as much as you do.
Yeah.
If that sounds familiar, you're normal. Fourth frustration is this concept of hitting the ceiling. Now, a lot of entrepreneurs talk about how easy the first couple of years was. It was almost too easy. It was weird. Like we were growing. Our customers seemed to love us. We could zig, we could zag. Like we were just kind of cruising along. We solved every problem that came up. And then all of a sudden we just hit a ceiling. We got stuck. Couldn't figure out a way to break through the ceiling. I want you to know that that's also normal. Is
that normal at a certain point or like point of revenue or employee size, or is that just like it happens different for a different stage of business for everyone?
Well, no business grows in a straight line. We grow in periods of evolution and revolution, and so we have to learn how to we're cruising along, everything's good, and then wham, we might get stuck, and we got to figure out
Right,
how to
right.
break through. We got to break through.
There's lots of ceilings. It's a multi-story building.
It never, the ceilings don't, they don't
Right.
end, but we got to get better at breaking through those. And then, of course, the fifth frustration here is that everything that we've tried, everything that we're doing, just isn't working. We've tried everything. We've read a lot of books. We've listened to every consultant or every business thought leader on the planet. We've got coaching. We've got peer groups, and we're trying to implement everything we've learned. But to your leadership team, you sort of, I don't know, they think you're sort of a flavor of the month leader because you keep trying all kinds of new things, and you're becoming a flavor of the month company, and it's just not working.
Mm.
And so if you guys feel any of those things, have you ever felt any of those things? Take solace in the fact that it's 100% normal.
Yeah.
95% of the other business owners out there know exactly what this feels like.
Yeah.
And so what drove Gino to create EOS was really obsessing about the difference between that frustrated entrepreneur and their companies, and then the 5% of the entrepreneurs who are running truly great businesses. And what he discovered is that the truly great businesses are really simple. They're simply very good, or very strong is a word we use, at 6 things. So just 6 things that allow this company to feel as though it's moving forward to achieve our vision. And so where we're going to spend the rest of our time together is I'm going to share with you those 6 things. And we call them the 6 key components. And the way we like to present this is in the form of something we call the EOS model. So I'm going to take you around the EOS model really quickly. I'm going to do it in 2 passes. And I've got a simple objective here. And I just want to make sure that each of you know what each component is. What it means first, and then the second pass, I'll take a little deeper dive into it, if that's okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
First key component is your vision component. When you are really good at the vision component, it just means, or when you're really strong in the vision component, it means that everybody in your company, everybody in your organization is 100% on the same page with where you're going, okay? And exactly how we're going to get there. So if you've got 100 people in your business, they're all rowing in one direction. The second key component here is our people component. And this is pretty simple. We'll never achieve a great vision if we don't have great people.
Mm-hmm.
And the sort of the aha discovery here was that every business in the world has a slightly different definition of what it means to be a great person. And so when you subscribe to some sort of generic definition of what a great person is, because you read a book or something, you've used a recruiter or something like that, and you don't really take the time to identify what a great person is in your unique company, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle with your people component. And so that's people. In a couple of minutes, I'm going to take a little deeper dive into this, and I'm going to show you the 2 tools or disciplines in each one of these, so we can really get the most out of this. And I'm going to show you how to ease your frustration when it comes to people. Third key component here is your data component. Now, this is about running your business on real facts and figures, on objective information rather than the sort of subjective feelings or emotions or egos that often drive our decision making. If you can boil your business down to just a handful of numbers, that you can look at, and in your gut you just know that my business is in great shape. It'll help make you better, faster. It'll make your decisions easier, and you'll be able to take your business to new levels. And so we're going to talk about data here a little bit more in a minute. The other discovery is that when these 3 components are strong, your business becomes transparent. All of your impurities and imperfections and challenges and that sort of stuff, those things that we preferred not to know, just start to hit us. And so we need to be really, really good at our issues component. So by a show of hands, how many people here have issues?
I think the same number that have people working in their business. I think it's probably about the same. Yeah.
Yeah. And to be fair, I mean, business issues, you don't pay me enough to solve the other issues.
The other issues.
Yeah, I'm not good at that. But if you
You're a
have
therapist for that, right? We'll get a therapist.
Yeah, for sure. So strengthening our issues component is really about taking the issues that we have in our business, setting them up as they arise, prioritizing them, and then and then solving them for the long-term greater good of the business, rather than letting them just sort of linger for days and weeks and months and sometimes years.
Yeah.
And so then we move on to the process component. And this is the fifth key component. This is really simple. This is about getting the most important things done in your business. We got to get those things done the right way and the best way every time, regardless of whether or not you're there to coach or mentor or teach or correct. With all that stuff that we spend a lot of time in our life doing, we've got to make sure that everybody who touches one of our processes is doing it the right way and the best way every time. And we take an entrepreneurial sort of 80-20 approach here. So no 700-page SOP manuals for us, right? We're gonna take a high level. What are the major steps in the process? And I'll go into detail on that a little deeper here in a couple of slides. And then the sixth and final component is our traction component. And this is about bringing our business down to the ground and making it real. This is about making progress every day towards achieving our vision. This is that feeling of, walking around in our business, and everywhere we look, we see people rowing in the same direction. You're one step closer to your business goals, and so that's the traction component. It's about instilling discipline and focus and accountability in this business so that everybody's executing on our vision every single day. There's a great quote here from Gino. It says, vision without traction is hallucination. And the reason that we're not achieving our vision is because it's not because there's no vision in the company. It's that we don't really drive the traction. So we've got to bring that vision down to the ground and execute on it every single day.
Yeah. I want to just really quickly add, I've read a couple of months ago, I've tasked myself this year with reading one book to make me a better businesswoman, at least, every month. And I read the book, E-Myth, and one of the stories, it's actually the E-Myth Revisited, I believe is the title. But one of the stories in the book that really resonated was a story about the girl that baked pies. And she was all of her friends were like, you bake pies, you're so good at baking pies, you're a great pie baker, you're doing so great at that, and you should start a business. So her whole team, friends and family rally around her, tell her to start a business. Then she starts the business, and then she's opening the business, cleaning the business, doing the bookkeeping for the business, sweeping the floors, ordering the products. And she basically, in a short period of time, was like, I hate making pies. I hate it, hate everything about it, because she wasn't doing what she truly loved. So just showing that little wheel that you were showing, or the visual a few minutes ago, it was just, for me, what stood out there was that the reality is I'm not really great at any of those things. If you said, hey, Laura, how great are you at data? How great are you at compiling, and, or how great are you at, processes? Those are all things that I think, it's beautiful, because most entrepreneurs, or some entrepreneurs, or a lot of entrepreneurs, really aren't naturally great at these things. So it's good to see that, what it takes to really build a truly thriving, smooth operating business doesn't always have to weigh on you. It is about your team, right? And that may not be what I don't know. It is ultimately, as the founder, my responsibility, but it's just good to see that, like, there are areas of weakness that I need the right team around me to be able to help fulfill these things. So I'm excited to hear what's next.
Yeah, super excited to show you when we get to the accountability chart. We'll teach you how to handle those things that you're maybe we got to get in your unique ability and people to do those things that we're not that great at. And so I'm going to move to the second pass of this thing really quickly. How many people here heard me say, like, when I asked you if you were the business owner and you heard me talk about focus or discipline or accountability, you thought to yourself, oh, awesome, Lynn's going to share with me some stuff that's going to make everybody else in my team more motivated and more disciplined and more accountable. Anybody?
So that I can go play golf, right?
I appreciate the honesty.
I'm just wondering. I don't play golf, so I'm just wondering if that's what other people are thinking.
Well, that's what I heard when I first read Traction. I read Traction in 2014. But the truth is, I'm coming for you. it's impossible for you to run a more focused, more disciplined, more accountable business if you're not willing to be a little more focused, a little more disciplined, and a
Yes.
little more accountable yourself.
Yep.
And so what I'm going to share with you is a handful of very practical tools that will allow you to do this without sort of killing your entrepreneurial spirit. Exactly what happened to the pie lady. Like, I don't want to kill your spirit, your nimbleness, your adaptiveness. I don't want to kill your innovativeness, if that's a word. Is that a word? And all that stuff. And so that's EOS in a nutshell. Like, when you implement EOS in your business and you're on what you're really on is a journey to strengthen these 6 key components. And we actually measure your progress on this journey. And so when you're on this journey, we measure, it's kind of a scientific yet subjective scale of 0 to 100% strong. But we find that our clients that get to 80% strong or better in each of the 6 key components are really truly running one of those great businesses. And so that's our mission. Most of our clients get there in about 2 years. And truth be told, in the beginning of the journey, most of our clients are about 20% strong in these 6 key components. And so I'm sharing that with you because you need to know that, we don't work with like turnaround opportunities or organizations that are ready to drive into the ditch.
Right.
We work with really great companies that they just know they're not great yet, and they want to be great. And when they self-assess using this approach and these tools, and they're honest with themselves, they sort of realize that they're succeeding in spite of themselves. That feeling is sort of running behind the van. And so my job is to help give you this stuff and the tools that'll help you start that journey to get strong, get up to 80% or stronger in each of the 6 key components. And so that's what we're trying to accomplish. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Beautiful. So let's take a deeper dive. So we're going to walk through each component, and I've got a couple of objectives here. Is I really want you to understand what 100% strong looks like in each component. I want you to know what it looks like, what it feels like. And so if I'm leaving you guys guessing for any reason, don't be afraid. Raise your hand, ask a question. And the second objective here is I'm going to give you the tools that we actually use to strengthen each of these 6 key components, and enough information that you could go out and you could start using them tomorrow. Okay?
That's good. Yeah, that's good. We like to leave here with actionable things. So this is great.
Okay.
Everyone have a pen and paper.
Let's take some notes. So to strengthen your vision component, we do something really complex. We ask the owner and the leadership team to answer 8 questions. That's it. 8 questions. And then I'm going to ask question 1, and I'm going to refuse to move on and to question number 2 until everybody on our leadership agrees to the answer to question number 1. And I mean every word, like the meaning of every word is the answer to question number 1. So it's a pretty simple job description for me, and I can do that reasonably well. And so here are the 8 questions. Let me flip over here really quick, and I'm going to show you this. And this is something we call our Vision Traction Organizer. This is our VTO for short. The 8 questions are actually the words here on the page. And so I'm going to walk you through these. The first side is the vision side. This is our 2-page business plan. It's simple. It's not 80 pages or 100 pages. It's a 2-page business plan. And we have 5 questions on this vision side of the document, and then I'll flip over, and we've got 3 questions on the traction side of the document. I'm going to walk you through these questions just one at a time. And so the first question is, what are your company's core values? So we're familiar with core values, right? How many of you've had core values in your organization up to this point, right?
Yep.
But how many of you love them, and how many of you use them to actually drive culture? So Jim Collins first introduced this idea of core values being an essential set of guiding characteristics that define who you are as a business in his book called Built to Last. Mm-hmm. And now I sort of fear that the idea of core values has sort of become overused, and there's a little bit of cynicism around it because, a lot of people feel like core values aren't what they were intended to be. For example, 2 companies, WorldCom and Enron, had integrity as a core value. And so it's pretty easy to get a little cynical about that idea when you hear that kind of stuff.
You're now, you're picking on a Mississippi company now. WorldCom was right here in Clinton, Mississippi. So.
Oh, how?
But yes, but yes, that's interesting, and I think that's why people get like you said, maybe burn out on the concept of core values because they're in a lot of ways not even real.
Right. But in an EOS company, we do it a little different. What we're really trying to do is we're trying to define what a great person looks like for you from a culture fit standpoint. So what characteristics or attributes or attitudes does the right employee for your unique culture need to possess and exhibit every day to feel like they're a great fit here? And that's what we do. So we do a discovery exercise with our clients. It'll help you really pinpoint 3 to 7 things that answers the question, what are your core values? And once we sort of agree on the sort of the generic idea, of how we define our great people, then we ask our clients to take the time to really fully define it. What does it look like to exhibit that core value? And then we implement and put in place a series of tools and processes to make sure our leadership team is actually living these core values. We got to make sure that we live it, and we're using these core values rather than putting them on coffee mugs and on a poster. Guys, you don't learn core values from a poster or a mug. You
Right.
learn core values from hiring with them and firing with them and reviewing with them and rewarding with them and recognizing with them.
Right.
So if they're just wall art, your team's going to get cynical about them. So core values have to be a part of who you are.
We do have a question that just came in that's applicable to this. How do you suggest I would begin to discover what our core values are for my company? Like, where do you even start if you haven't started or you need to rework?
So what we do is we do a core value exercise with you and your team. We sit down and we ask you to list, who are your rock stars? Who are the people on your team that if you could clone them, if you had 100 of them, you could take over the world? And so we list out those people, and then I'll ask you, like, why did you list them? What are their attributes? What are their qualities? What are the pieces? Why did you tell me this person was a rock star? And now we start to map out what it looks like to be a great employee in your company. And then we do a little discover exercise to polish those up. But that's how we discover our core values. You have core values. Our job and my job as an implementer is to help pull them out of you and find them and clarify them for you, teach you how to use them. Okay. Hope that answered the question.
Yeah, that's good.
Once we've defined our core values, then we're going to move on to question number 2 on the VTO, and this is our core focus. And this is really just our sweet spot. It's been called a million things by a million different people. It's been called a mission statement. It's been called a vision statement. It's been called, Stephen Covey called it your voice. Jim Collins called it your hedgehog concept. Whatever you want to call it, we call it our core focus because it comes from your core. And what we're trying to get you to do is we're trying to define your sweet spot. Like if you play golf or tennis, you understand the analogy. When you hit a ball on the sweet spot on the club or the racket, it goes further and faster. And so what we're really trying to do is say, what do you do in your business? What do you love and what are you best at? And once we define that, we use our core focus to stay laser focused on the kind of work that you're going to do that'll bring you the most money, that we can have the most fun, and we can consistently satisfy our clients. Because we as entrepreneurs, we get to be thinking that we're good at everything. Like I see money everywhere. As an entrepreneurial, call it the entrepreneurial curse. I'm like, that. And
I was gonna ask, how many times have you sat with an organization and an owner through this exercise, a leadership team, and they've totally, like, through this exercise, changed the mission state, the whole purpose of their business? Does that happen? Or
111 times.
Yeah, I bet.
No, I we don't let that happen. We help them really focus on what they're great at, and we help them keep the eye on the ball, so to speak, if you want to stay with this metaphor, right? And so that's the purpose of core focus. And if you get distracted and you start looking at something else, bad stuff starts to happen.
Yeah.
And so we define it, we laser focus on it, and we make sure that we're doing the kind of work that helps us run a better business.
Yeah.
And if we can get the entire leadership team to agree, because sometimes we don't, how often have you ever had a conversation go between your head of sales or the head of marketing or the head of operations, head of finance, or where somebody's like, man, why the heck did we sell that thing to them?
Yeah.
Gosh.
We've never done that here. I can tell you that. My team, they're all
like that happens to every business on the least one. Right?
Absolutely. You learn from it though, right?
Yeah, we got to get everybody on our leadership team on the same page with the answer
Right.
to that question. Like we got to eliminate all that wasted time of having to try and debate, hey, should we sell this new thing or not? We got
Mm-hmm.
to do what we love to do and what we're best at. Okay?
Right.
So we'll go do that. Give everybody sort of clear marching orders there. All right. Let's move on to the third question on the VTO. And this is really, what is our 10-year target? Now, this is just a big goal for the organization. This is our number one business goal. If you could sacrifice everything else that you hope for in your business, what's the most important thing that we need to be, or we want to be true of our business? And it's somewhere, around 10 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
Full disclosure, it's called a 10-year target, but it can be anything between 5 and 30 years.
Yeah.
Most of our clients choose 10 years and we call it a 10-year target. But over the last couple of years, I've had a lot of clients set a 7-year target because we like round numbers. And so we say, 30 million in 2030, right? So it's 30 and 30. And so for those of you on the call still, I'd love for you to just take a minute and think about your big, hairy, audacious goal. What's the thing that you really want from your business? What makes the most sense? And I'd love for you to choose one thing. Some of you want to just grow, some of you want to conquer the world. Whatever that is, I want you to write it down in the most specific way you can possible. Maybe it's a revenue target. Maybe you want to help 1,000 businesses. Maybe you want 100,000 people running on EOS. Whatever your particular thing is, I'd love for you to spend a minute here and just think about that and maybe write it down. And
it doesn't have to be revenue, right? I mean, it could be really truly what you want to accomplish in 10 years. What would be the biggest win for you in 10 years, right?
100%. And I have clients I had a client who they were a mortgage marketing company, and they believed in their core focus was home ownership for everyone. They believed they wanted everybody to have a home. And so that was their mission. They had a certain number of people they wanted to help get new homes in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So it really depends on you and your business and what you really want. But write it out. I don't know if anybody wants to share in the chat. If you see anybody that wants to write out what they really want in their business, I'd love to see them.
I don't see. I will pop it up. If so, it's a little delay from people who are streaming in from different platforms. We did have a question though about core values. Is it okay just to pop back to core values really quickly?
Sure.
Best practices for using core values in the hiring process to make sure that there's cultural alignment to avoid hiring any cultural misfits.
Yeah, 100%. It's really difficult in that first interview to understand who you're speaking with. But I think it's really important. The way that we did it in our company is in the interview that I ran with the potential employee. I laid out here's what we are as a company. Here's what we do, but here's who we are. And I would share the core values with them. We're resourceful. We deliver excellence. Whatever they are, whatever the core values are. And I would just lay them out and say, hey, this is who we are as a team. If you don't think that would be a good fit for you, this might not be the right place for you.
Right.
And so what we're doing is we're just setting the expectations in the beginning of, to be a good teammate here, these are the core values that you need to exhibit.
Yeah. And then you can always circle back, if you do move forward and you feel like there's misalignment, you can always circle back and say, remember when we talked about, which I know that probably happens during a quarterly discussion, which I'm sure you'll talk about.
100%.
Yeah.
Core values is one of the 4 or 5 ways that we can help hold team members accountable.
Right. Yep.
So, we'll talk about that in a minute. I think that's really interesting. I have a story about that I want to tell, but I'll do that in just a couple of minutes. And so 10-year target. My passionate plea for you is to tell people about it. The more people you tell about it, the more likely you are to achieve it. Some of us are a little shy or afraid to share a big, hairy, audacious goals with people. But study after study show that when you socialize these things that are important to you, the goals that are really important, the universe sort of aligns for you in ways that make it more likely to happen. And so, number 1, keep it top of mind. And number 2, share it with as many people as possible. And number 3, if you've lost sight of why you started this business in the first place and what made you so passionate about it, reignite your passion around every ounce of energy in your business, focusing on achieving your big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yeah.
Okay. If you guys walk away with nothing else today, that's your nugget.
Yeah, that's good.
Fourth question. Let's move to the fourth question here. Starting to worry about time here.
Yeah.
Is it okay if we run long?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. We'll do a few minutes over. People can drop off and get the recording. It's immediately available so they can see it later if needed.
Very good. So fourth question is what is our marketing strategy? So we talked about what you want from your business here. 5 to 30 years out, it's your number one goal. Let's talk about the fourth question. This is your marketing strategy. So if your core values define who you are, they define who your people are, what your culture is, your core focus defines your sweet spot, what you love to do and what you're best at. Your 10-year target defines where we're going with this thing long term.
Mm-hmm.
And the power of the 10-year target, besides what I just said, is it gets your entire leadership team on the same page with what the big goal is. I can't tell you how often that I'm in a room facilitating, a session with clients around the 10-year target, and the visionary and founder wants to, grow to 5 continents and conquer the world, and the head of finance just wants one more point of profitability. Right?
Yeah.
We're not on the same page about what we're
Right.
And the problem with misalignment is that those two vastly different companies, if you're trying to run that, you got to be aligned anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
sometimes we have to have a little conflict around it, and we resolve it so we're all 100% on the same page. So let's talk about marketing strategy.
Yep.
So there are 4 parts to marketing strategy. This just gets your leadership team on the same page with who your ideal customer is.
Yeah.
And what you're going to say to them. If you had your ideal prospect in front of you, what would you say to them? Okay. And so the 4 parts of those, just one at a time, super briefly. I hope your target market and list. What we're going to do is we're going to define your ideal demographic, geographic, and psychographic profile of the kinds of people or organizations that you want to work with. Okay. Because if you're trying to be all things to all people, you're going to lose your tail real fast.
Right. Right.
So we want you to focus on the kinds of people and organizations that are a perfect fit for your offer. And so once we've defined that, then we craft our marketing message so that it appeals to those kinds of people. Because if you're selling yourself as the fastest, cheapest, best relationship, highest quality organization, man, you're all over the place.
Right.
1, and 2, nobody believes you.
Right.
So who you are and how you can best appeal to your ideal customers and prospects, we defined 3 uniques. And so it's kind of the, unique selling propositions, kind of like the oldest question in the oldest marketing book. But we've got to define what makes us different and better than our competitors. And so if we don't agree on that, then we're all trying to sell all over the place, right? We're trying to sell a bunch of different things, We want our 3 uniques to be the thing that appeals to our ideal customer and heck, even scares off everybody else.
Yeah.
And so let's go to proven process. Proven process is just a tool we use to reduce the fear of adoption in our target market. It's kind of a visual illustration of what it's like to do business with us. So it's just a 1-page graphical design of the customer journey. And basically it's the journey that I'm going to take every single customer on to get great results. So if we can show our clients that, we can get better, consistent results with it. And so that's kind of what we're looking for there. Anybody ever have the suspicion that their salespeople are maybe creating multiple sets of expectations? Right?
For the operations team to have to sort through and figure out once the sell is done. Never heard of that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, 100%. So maybe if Bill sells it, he sells it one way, and if Sally sells it, she sells it a different way.
Yeah.
And so this actually fixes that. The proven process fixes it because it shows, we've got our ideal customer. We talk about our benefits and we show them exactly what it's going to be like to do business with us. And so that's really important. And then of course the 4th part here is the guarantee. So we build a guarantee because sometimes, sometimes there's a highly competitive market. Maybe there's something that's hurting us in marketplace. Maybe there's this perception that we're too expensive, or maybe they're too far away from me, or you don't have expertise in my industry. Essentially, what we're building is a pledge or a promise that reduces the fear of adoption.
Yeah.
And so, not everybody has to have a guarantee. Probably 50% of my clients have one, and 50% don't. But I urge you to kind of consider developing one and turn that sort of disadvantage you have into an advantage.
And of course, I'm going to say here, as the kind of marketing arm, of course, I'm a big believer in EOS and know how much it can transform a business, and actually really quickly. The marketing component you need anyway, period. Because that part alone can keep you treading water, like I was talking about earlier. Not understanding who you're going after, not understanding what you're offering, that type of thing. And that's what I do all day, every day. So that one, of course, hits home for sure. But I feel like that's a big one, just on a personal level for me, because that's what we talk to our clients about all the time.
Really important, and it makes everything so much easier. I mean, when you meet somebody new, you get to tell them what you do and why you do it, who you do it for, and why you're different.
In the same way that everyone else in your company is telling people that. So it's that is more rare than you would think, but it is.
Yeah, as an EOS implementer, I have my 3 uniques memorized: the vision, traction, healthy, and I can recite the all of it. It's vision is about getting you and your leadership team on the same page about where we're going and how we're going to get there. Traction means instilling discipline and accountability so that no matter where you look, there are people executing on your vision. And by healthy, I mean making you and your leadership team a more cohesive, functional, fun-loving team that likes to work together.
Love it.
If that appeals to you, I suggest we jump on a call, right? So it's the same every time. Every EOS implementer has it memorized, and it's just so perfect.
Yeah.
If I get my ideal prospect in front of me, I can speak to them exactly what they want to hear.
Yeah.
And so let's jump ahead. And so 3-year picture really quickly. This is the 5th question. This is on the vision side of the document. This is where we bring your vision down to the ground and we make it a little bit more real. Because your big goal is sometimes a little bit abstract. We got to work hard to make it a little more specific. So your 3-year picture is where we bring this down to the ground. We make it real. We make sure that everybody in our company can see the company that we intend to build. So it starts with our leadership team. We get them to agree on, what does this company look like just 3 short years from now? We set a revenue goal, a profit goal, a measurable goal, and then we define what does it look like, because we want to visualize it. We take these, 7 or 8 or 15 bullets here, and we all agree that these are the strategic priorities for our business. Takes about 45 minutes. We don't believe in 25-page long strategic plans, right?
Right.
I think it can be simple, and I think you can get a lot of dividend out of just a simple plan. We want to get you on the same page with what your company looks like 3 years from now. Okay.
Yeah.
And so then we flip to the other side of the document. This is the vision side. When we bring this down even further. And so we do that same exercise again, except we do it just 1 fiscal year ahead. And so we're gonna figure out what we need to achieve from a revenue, a profit, and a measurable goal. And then we're gonna map out our goals for the year.
So for those people where the 10-year plan and the 3-year plan just seems a little woo-woo, this is for you. You got this too, right?
Yep. Yeah, we got to set those, but then we got to make it real.
That's right.
We have to set that.
But put something right in front of us.
So we bring it down to the ground to 1 year, and we figure out what are the biggest priorities, and we predict how are we going to end the year. We set goals to hit. We set goals to hit them as an EOS company. That means we're going to get better at predicting. We're going to predict. We're going to hit this number, and we're going to hit this objective. And then once we're all kind of on the same page with what we've predicted for the year, then we set these 3 to 7 company goals. These are the 3 to 7 most strategic things that we must accomplish in the year to be on track for our long-term vision. Okay. And so, and we only set 3 to 7 rocks because maybe you can finish my sentence for me, but where everything's important, nothing's important.
That's right. That's right.
So hopefully, closer to 3 to 7 things that we align here. All right.
Yeah.
So we're on the same page with our priorities for the year. Then we turn to the next section we call quarterly rocks. Okay. So we got our year stuff. We're going to jump into rocks. So what the heck is a rock? This idea was created by Stephen Covey. He had this glass cylinder exercise. I want to make sure to give him credit for this. And then Vern Harnish popularized it. He popularized the term rocks to describe business goals. And in an EOS company, your quarterly rocks are the most important things that we need to accomplish over the next 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
So just like the other sections, we start with revenue, profit, measurables. And then we agree on our 3 to 7 biggest priorities for the company for the next 90 days. And it's something we do. It's really simple, but what's really important here is when it comes to sort of accountability is we fill in we take a single name from the leadership team. This person is personally accountable for completing whatever we commit to for a priority this quarter.
Yeah.
We're going to drive individual accountability for executing on our 3 to 7 company rocks, and ultimately maybe 3 to 7 individual rocks for each member of the leadership team.
Mm-hmm.
Our clients walk out of their first session with us with their own priorities, sometimes for the first time ever.
Right.
And 3 to 7 specific, measurable, realistic, and timely objectives that we must focus on in the quarter. This vastly increases the chances that you're actually going to execute on your one-year plan.
Just by putting it on paper, right? And agreeing on it and giving it a person's that's accountable.
Yep. We define them. We write them smart. We agree that there are priorities, and then somebody takes accountability for it.
Yep.
Okay. And so this is rocks. And so it's difficult sometimes to get an entrepreneurial leader that usually has no boundaries. It's difficult to get them to agree on 3 to 7 priorities for the year and 3 to 7 priorities for the company. Sometimes they can get a little scared, a little frightened or frustrated. And they're like, man, what do you mean we can't tackle that right now? And so the last part of it here is our issues list. And this is where we put the long-term issues. This is where we put the things that we want to do, but we just can't get to this quarter. And so we just make sure that we give you and your leadership team the confidence that next quarter or next year, we're going to look at this again. And if it feels like a priority, then we'll consider prioritizing it. So an issue isn't really a problem. It might be an opportunity, an idea, an innovation, a new piece of technology or acquisition, a new hire. It could be anything. But if we've made the important decision to not prioritize it this quarter, we throw it here in the issues list because we may want to bring this back next quarter.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't disappear or get forgotten, which is huge. Yeah.
We compartmentalize it for sure.
Yeah. I think that as an entrepreneur, a lot of times whatever's in front of you today is what's most important. And so that's why I believe that issues just keep getting pushed. So I love just having it documented so that you can come back around to it.
Very good. So we're an hour in and I haven't even finished the very first of the 6 key components.
So. Well, maybe we do a part 2. I'm okay with a part 2. I think we could probably do about 5 to 10 more minutes. I don't know how that would look in terms of your slides, but I think we could easily do a part 2 and invite people back to kind of dig in a little bit more. I think this is good. Honestly, I feel like all of this is, especially for those who are new to the concept, will be really great. Even just with what we've covered so far. So what do you feel like, how far you think we can get in about 10 minutes?
Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to blaze through this at a lightning speed, and we're going to just talk about the each of the 2 key components in each one of these. Okay. And we're just going to see what we do here. And so what does 100% strong look like? We've got our 8 questions answered, and that vision is shared by all. We move to the people component. We talk about 2 things. We talk about right people and right seats. Right people are people that fit your core values. And these people live our core values on a regular basis. And so we give you a tool called the People Analyzer that'll allow you to put the names of your core values across the top. We put your people down the left side, and then we measure. If they consistently live our core value, we give them a plus. If they, rarely exhibit our core value, we give them a minus. And if it's some of the time, then we give them a plus minus. And we use this tool to basically measure our team, right? We got to decide if they're a great fit for us. And so again, lots of ways to do this, but imagine that you've got somebody that doesn't seem like a great fit on your team, and man, you just get this feeling like, man, Bill, man, I don't know. Like, Bill's pretty good at his job, but man, there's just something off about him. I'm not sure what it
Yeah.
is. He's not terribly annoying. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a great fit. And as a leader, you're going to struggle with, like, how the heck am I going to have that conversation?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
just hey, Bill, come to my office for a minute. Close the door, Bill. You're pretty good at your job, but there's just something about you that annoys the heck out of me. Like, you can't do that, right?
Right.
It's not going to go well. And so the core values and the people analyzer allow you to say, hey, Bill, remember when we hired you? I told you these core values are really important. Okay. You fit our culture, and we have these 5 core values that you need to consistently exhibit. And here's what it means. And I need you to consistently exhibit them. And there's a couple of places where I think you're doing really well. I want to talk you through that. But there's a couple of places here that I think that I think the fix is easy, and I want to work with you. But here's what that would look like. And so that turns that really kind of scary, awkward, unsuccessful conversation into a really healthy coaching conversation with your team.
Yeah.
So that's the power of the people analyzer.
Yeah.
Right?
And I love, sorry, I know this is going to extend our time a little bit, but I love that exercise has nothing to do with a deadline they missed or a performance issue. It is strictly about, are you, are they in the right company? Are they in the right seat? Are they the right person for the job? That type of thing. So I love that it's a totally different conversation, in my opinion.
Yeah, it gives you an opportunity to immediately enforce your core values. I mean, so when you have this conversation with Bill that he's a plus minus or a minus, you're setting the bar for what it means to be a great person here. And so we give you these little tools and disciplines to help you do that. Now, right seats really quickly. These are people who are good at their job. These are people who are exceptional at their job. They don't need a lot of intervention from their supervisor, their leader, their manager. And so we build out a accountability chart, and we say structure first, people second. And we build out this accountability chart. And what makes it an accountability chart is that only one person can be accountable for each role or responsibility.
Yeah.
And so we build out the right seats. We map out each function. We build out the roles so that your team knows exactly what they're responsible for when it comes to their role and function. Okay. Again, marketing and sales, we say, hey, you're responsible for marketing, hitting the sales numbers, selling, account management. Got some examples here around a hockey player. If you were the center, your goal would be to win faceoffs, create scoring chances, score goals. And we got to make sure we put the right people in the right seats. So if you were trying to hire me as your hockey center, well, I'm not a good fit. Like, I'm a no for this spot, right? I may be great at something else though in the team because I fit your core values. And so we got to make sure we're putting the right people right seats. They got to get it, they got to want it, and they got to have capacity to do it. And so we use the people analyzer to kind of set a bar. We figure out what's the acceptable number of pluses and minuses. Maybe it's some combination of 3 pluses and 2 minuses. But when somebody drops below the bar, it gives you the opportunity to have a great coaching conversation with them.
Right.
So again, when it comes to the accountability chart, we got to make sure we get the right people in the right seats.
And how long do we allow them to be below the bar, Lynn?
Not at all.
So if it's one time below the bar, is that an exit conversation, or is that
no, not at all. Not at all. It's a coaching conversation. Yeah. It's a hey, again, just like the conversation I just had with Bill, like, hey, here's a couple of spots that I think you could improve, and here's what it would look like, and here's some examples, and here's a couple of times that I think you didn't exhibit that core value. It becomes a coaching opportunity because we like these people. I mean, look, you got to make decisions.
You invested in them, you've hired them, right? Exactly.
Yeah. There's a couple different kinds of people issues you might have to deal with. You might have the right person in the wrong seat. This is somebody you love and they're a great core value fit. They're just not executing well on their job. Hopefully we can move them into a better seat where they can, better execute. Sometimes we can't. Sometimes we have a wrong person in the right seat. This is somebody who's good at their job, but man, are they just eating away at our culture.
Yeah.
And in that case, you got to make a change.
Right.
So right people, right seats. That's the people component. Jump over to the data component here. This is about running your business on real facts and figures. I love this quote. if we have data, let's look at the data. If all we have are opinions, let's go with mine. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's the way most leaders run their businesses. So
also, a Jackson, Mississippi native, that quote, just so you know.
Love it.
That's 2 Mississippi references you didn't even know. Love it.
So we're going to set up a great scorecard for your company. We're going to make sure that you guys are running your business on real facts and figures. It's sort of the art and science of running your business on a handful of numbers that give you a real pulse. And so we build a company scorecard. We have measurables, we have goals, we have who's responsible for that particular goal. And then we've got, 13 weeks of data at a glance. So we can spot those trends and challenges and things that we have here. So that, what I really want to do is I want you to, no matter how good your gut feeling is, I want to give you like a definitive decision-making tool, because every important decision you make, if you're using your gut, you're not as great a company as you could be.
Yeah. And that's actually, would you say that's an entrepreneurial trend, using your gut to make decisions?
Of course.
Yeah. But how things feel versus what the data says. It's a much faster decision, right?
Yeah. But I want to give you the data.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you have all the data, then it's much faster because it's right here in front of you. So that's good. It's awesome.
So we build out scorecards and measurables for all of our team. Just some ideas here: weekly revenue, cash balance, sales call, accounts payable, things like that, utilization rates, web conversions, whatever that might be. And then we make sure that everybody on your team has some sort of weekly measurable that they're responsible for, because we want to be able to hold our people accountable. And so it sets the right expectations. When you hire somebody, hey, here's our core values that you need to live. Here are your roles and responsibilities from the accountability chart. And oh, by the way, here's the KPIs and metrics that we're going to rate you by.
Yeah.
Okay? So now you have the tools that you need to make sure that our teams are operating well. Accountable teams love scorecards. They love a tool that will make them better. I mean, it's why we have scoreboards in stadiums. We got to know if we're winning or not. So what does 100% strong look like here? We've got a great company levels. We have great scorecards at the leadership level. We got great scorecards at your departmental levels, and everybody on the team has some sort of measurable they're responsible for. All right. I think we can squeeze all this in. I'm going fast. I'd love to do a part 2. But going back to this one, when your people component's strong and your vision component's strong, your data component's strong, you become transparent and you have issues. So I want to make sure that you guys are really, really good at taking those issues, setting them up, knocking them down for the greater good, long-term greater good of the company. And so we have an issues list, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a culture of people who are willing to raise their hand and say, hey, Laura, we got a problem here. Here's a problem. Here's an issue. We love people that point out the issues in our business, because we're all just trying to get better. And so we're going to have an issues list where we actually track our issues or challenges week to week. And then we're going to give you the tools or disciplines to actually identify, discuss, and solve those problems. So we take that issues list, and then first thing we do, most of us, we get in a meeting and we go to identify a problem, and we say, all right, let's identify the problem. And then, the D is discuss and S is solve. But what ends up happening, we just end up discussing the heck out of it. Right? We never like move forward to a real solution. We never really dig in and figure out the root cause. And so we never actually walk out of the meeting with a plan to make that issue go away. And we end up taking our issues and the challenge that we have, and we wrap them up in duct tape and twine, and we shove them in the corner. Eventually, your entire business is held together by duct tape and twine, and you got a real problem, right? Yeah. And so this is what we do. We identify, we discuss, we solve, we prioritize number 1, 2, and 3. We pick number 1 and we say, all right, who wants to identify the issue? And we dig in and we dig, because sometimes what's written on the chart isn't the real issue. We got to ask ourselves, why is this happening? And if we can solve that, Now we can come up with solutions, and we can discuss potential solutions, and then we can actually move to solve. And that solve usually involves somebody taking some sort of action that'll make this problem go away forever.
Yep. Accountability. Let somebody own it. Yep.
Yep. Then we move on to number 2, and then we move on to number 3, and so on and so forth. So what does 100% strong look like over here in the issues list, or the issues component? That we have an issues list, and we got people on our teams putting things on the issues list and working through our IDS session to solve them. Okay. Process. This is pretty simple. We got to take the handful of core processes you have in your business, and we need to document them. And we document them sort of an 80-20 level. We're not looking for every core process. We're talking about the handful of core processes, things like our people and marketing and sales and operations. And we're going to build our handful of core processes that define what's the right way and the best way to do these things the right way and the best way every time. So we document them and we simplify them. Table of contents. Here's how we do what we do. We document and simplify, and we identify the need. We define the seat. This is how we hire. Here's how we onboard and train. Here's how we do leadership, management, and accountability. And here's how we terminate. So we simplify your processes and document them and simplify them. And so we do that. We put them all in a nice book, and we have all of our core processes. Now we're not talking about the little SOPs for every little step. We're talking about 80-20 level of doing this.
Right.
What we want to do. This is one of my favorite quotes. Is it
not a Mississippian?
Not a Mississippian. He said that you need to systemize the predictable so that you can humanize the exceptional. And so the things that we do the same way every time, let's do those the same way every time. So you can free up your mind to do the other things that we do exceptionally.
Yeah. Yep.
So we document those processes, and we got to get them followed by all. So we got to train our team. We got to measure their progress. We got to do leadership, management, accountability, hold them accountable to getting them done correctly. And we got to have a system to update those core processes. All right. Last one, squeezing it in. Traction component. This is where we bring all of this together. This is where we bring all of this stuff down to the ground, and we execute on it with discipline and accountability. And we start with rocks. Now, rocks, I told you, were our biggest business priorities. So once again, every quarter we get together and we create new rocks for the quarter. During that time, we have what we call our meeting pulse. And the meeting pulse is how we hold ourselves accountable to actually getting those rocks done. And so we're going to have a weekly level 10 meeting. We're going to work in a 90-day world where we get together quarterly. We're going to look back upon the last quarter. We're going to see how we did. How did we hit our goals? Did we hit our measurables? Did we hit our rocks? We are going to get back on the same page by reviewing our vision traction organizer. And then we're going to set a new plan for the next 90 days. And we're going to create a meeting pulse for a weekly leadership level 10 meeting. It's going to be on the same day.
I was going to ask to explain level 10, but that's your key leaders, right? Key leaders in the business.
Yeah. Level 10 meeting. I'll explain it really, really quickly. We have this meeting pulse, same time, same day, starts on time, ends on time, and it has the same agenda. That agenda looks like this. We start with some good news. Just very, very simple. Share one personal, one professional win for the week. We segue into our scorecard. We're looking at our business. We're looking at our numbers. We're seeing how well we're doing operating our business on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis. We're going to review our rocks, make sure that our rocks are on track. We're moving the business forward with our biggest business priorities. We're going to check on our customers and our employees to make sure that those two groups of people are happy. We're going to look at our to-do list, and the to-do list basically came from last week's meeting, all the things that we agreed to do in the last week. And we're going to spend the next 60 minutes IDSing, identifying, discussing, and solving the problems that we have in our business. That's it. With 5 minutes left to go in the meeting, we wrap up. And in that wrap up, what we do there is we review our to-dos from everybody clear on the to-dos for the next week. Are there any cascading messages that need to go down to the rest of the team? And then we're going to rate the meeting on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best. This is why we call it a level 10. Because if I ask you guys, how would you rate your meetings? Most people tell me 4s and 5s. I want to teach you guys to have great meetings in your business. I want them to be 10s. We call this the level 10 meeting.
And not dread them, right?
100%.
Nobody wants to dread a meeting.
No, this level 10 meeting is the best 90 minutes of your week. It's the most efficient, most effective, and it frees you up from a whole bunch of other meetings. So let's have one great meeting instead of a whole bunch of little crappy ones.
Right. It's good.
All right. So this is it. This is EOS. Here are the 5 foundational tools. This is the 80-20 of EOS, the VTO, your accountability chart, your rocks, your meeting pulse, your scorecard. We've got some resources. Go to EOS Worldwide. You can download all of the guides. We have our traction library. We have downloadable tools and videos and Basecamp if you really want to dig in and self-implement. We have a directory of EOS implementers to help guide you to proper implementer for you. Any final thoughts?
Love it. I love all the Mississippi that you worked in. I don't know if that was just for us today, but I love it. Thank you so much, Lynn. I think that, this was definitely a deep dive compared to our last discussion, which was very short and just introductory. I believe we said in that podcast, if you're interested to read Traction, you saw there were several, read the book Traction by Gino Wickman, just to be clear. But there are lots of resources. And if you're interested in just digging in a little bit deeper with Lynn, you can see right here his URL, eosworldwide.com, and then his name. He is not far from Mississippi. He's in Lafayette, Louisiana. I know for sure we have one Louisiana listener today because he told me he was joining. So, and then also, again, I wouldn't have had Lynn on if I didn't know firsthand how impactful this can be. There are, a lot of kind of new phrases that you might not be familiar with. And some, the visual might be, might have a lot of details that your business isn't currently doing, but, there's a reason for that. And we have integrated this system into, is it called a system, Lynn? Is that what would you call it?
Yeah, it's a business framework.
Framework. Yeah. We have implemented this. We started late last year. And if nothing for, the VTO that you went over and that level 10 meeting every week, like there are so many things about it that really have helped us. I actually showed my team at the end of last year, a picture of a bunch of women falling out of a canoe. And then the next picture was a professional row team, and I said, here's where we're going. And, I'd say we're nobody's perfect, but we certainly have changed the way that our business operates and gotten a lot more effective at handling those issues. And that actually makes my life as the owner a lot easier and allows me to sleep at night. And, we didn't even talk about this, but not to prolong it, but have, a health issue where I've been out a couple of weeks this year and been able to know and feel very confident that my business is running effectively without me. So thank you, Lynn. Thank you for pushing the gas pedal and getting us all the way through. You can see Lynn's information here if you want to talk to him. If you'd like to talk to me about that marketing component and how to make sure that we get that the message and your unique value proposition and all those things out into the marketplace to your ideal customer, I would be happy to help you with that as well. But Lynn, we definitely might be seeing a part 2 soon just for further discussion. We have November 19th at 2 p.m. our next. So we did this last year in December. We're actually got some requests to do it a little early, but we're doing a 2025 digital marketing game plan session for your managed services provider or IT business on November 19th, because honestly, December's too late. So if you're planning your marketing for 2025 and you're trying to get a game plan for what priorities you're going to focus on from a marketing standpoint, this is your opportunity to do that. If you register for this webinar, then we have your email address and we'll send you information about that. Lynn, any final thoughts?
No, I love it. I love that the information and the resources that you're bringing to your MSPs. I love it. Really proud of you and so happy to have spent the day with you.
Yeah, so fun.
there's so much to EOS, and we went through it super fast towards the end. And again, happy to help. If anybody really is interested in EOS, it really starts with what we call a 90-minute meeting, and it's a free call. And I'll jump on a call with you and your leadership team, and you'll learn about me. I'll learn about you. I'll show you all of the EOS tools. I'll open up the fire hose. We'll dig deep into that, and then I'll show you what it looks like to work with an EOS implementer, and then then you've had a decision to make. Is this right for us? Is Lynn right for us? Because if I'm not, I have other EOS implementer so that I can refer you to. They're a better fit, and then is this the right time for you to do EOS? And so I'll be happy to do that call with you and answer any questions you might have. Even if you said, "Hey, Lynn, I'm never going to work with you. You're way too expensive," we'll still have the call, and I'm still going to help.
It'll be worth your time. Absolutely worth their time.
100% hope first.
I love it. Well, this was inaugural live event, so this is history. We made history today, Lynn. The business growers history. So thank you. And again, here's the information if you want to book time with either one of us. Thank you so much for joining both live and through the link, the Restream link. We appreciate you joining.